Staten Island Yankee Stadium. It's really nice. Or was really nice. All right. You guys ready to go?
Oh, whenever you're ready.
I was born ready. All right, we're going live.
This is Hugs, Bruise, Hilda, Rebel Shell, Rock Lobster, Sticks and Stones of the DC Roller Girls, and you're listening to SLZE Sports.
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. You believe in miracles? Yes! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Live from the basement capital of the world, it's SLZE Sports.
It's one of those things that sucks you down into this giant tornado of awesome, bringing you the sleaze to the stellar and everything in between.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run!
With your hosts, Coach Scott, Zoe, Dean Ash, and Sweet Lou.
I don't believe what I just saw! I don't believe what I just saw!
It's time to tear apart the sports world and...
In a week that a 1,229-year-old pub had to close its doors because of COVID. This is SLZE Sports. Welcome, gentlemen.
Wouldn't you like to get away?
Apparently. By the way, this was Britain's... What, Lou?
Is it Britain?
Yes.
No, I was going to play off of Dee's little joke because it kind of bums me out that Applebee's has co-opted the Cheers theme. You said you want to get away. That's the line from the Cheers.
Yeah, it is. But I completely forgot that they've been playing that now with Applebee's. And
they sponsor a lot of sporting events, so like I keep running into that ad.
Anyways, this is Britain's oldest pub, by the way. It's Ye Old Fighting Cocks Pub in St. Albans, England. Announced it's closing It's closing permanently after financial problems, which was then made worse by the COVID-19 pandemics. The pub first started pouring drinks in the year 793. And it's closing down now. There's a slight chance it could still end up reopening, said the brewery owners, but we'll have to wait and see. There you go.
Oh, well, the name like Fighting Cocks.
Well, there'll be plenty of beer flowing this weekend.
Maybe Zoe can open it up.
Yes. And get his lady cocks to be employees there.
Well, you got to do something to your lady cocks. Anyways.
Do you know?
I don't know. Why not?
Anyway.
So some people would say you have to.
Since we're here.
I mean, some people must say you need to stroke your lady cocks. Anyways, welcome to SLZE Sports, everybody. This is SLZE Sports. I am Coach Scotty here with Sweet Lou and D Nash, and we're off to a rousing start for this week's show. Of course, it is Super Bowl week, which we will get to all things Super Bowl in just a little bit. I'm just realizing now I forgot to print out my nice little Scotty, which I always do for you guys, so I'm going to bring it up on my screen so I don't miss it this time. But you guys seem to always like to talk about, the Super Bowl food, so we'll get there. But anyways, obviously the one thing that we can easily start off with here is the NFL Coaching Carousel, as it seems to be coming, or has really come to a close. Lou sent me a nice little graphic, whatever you want to call it. We won't say anything else about where it came from. But anyways, as you can see on your screen, those are all the brand new coaches and their new places, or same places as some may go, with New Orleans and Houston. Did kind of want to touch on them a little bit. The one I did forget to put on here, which happened, was the Kevin O'Connell one. I mean, but
No,
really,
he's there in the Viking one.
no. In our rundown, I didn't have it.
Oh, in our rundown. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But, the first one I wanted to touch on because it happened the day after the show was the Doug Peterson to the Jaguars. Were you surprised that that's who they are, if that Doug Peterson went to Jacksonville? Anybody?
Well, I think after the Urban Meyer debacle, they wanted to get somebody who at least had some kind of established track record in the NFL. Right? I guess that makes a little bit of sense.
Sure.
After you went the college route, didn't work. I guess they didn't want to go for one of these like coordinators who's never coached before, so you go get a retread. We haven't seen very many retreads lately. I feel like the hot thing ever since Sean McVay got that job in the Rams and took him to the Super Bowl in like his second year is go after the young OC, which we have plenty on this list, young OCs. So I think Jacksonville trying to go for an established guy. I mean, he won a Super Bowl in Philly. Obviously, that carries a lot of weight.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy that we don't have to keep hearing about how Bill Cowher is going to come out of retirement. I felt like for like 10 years, that's all we heard about was he was going to get the next job everywhere. So
him and John Gruden.
I guess he, I think Gruden's pretty much, persona non grata for a little while after how he was unceremoniously let go.
I just meant we heard about it every year.
So, you're right. He was also a guy we heard every year, and then he finally got the job with the Raiders. So I guess I'm not surprised. It'll be interesting to see if he can make the same magic happen in Jacksonville. He certainly got a great young quarterback to work with, but it would appear that roster is pretty bare outside of that one position.
Completely agreed. I mean, God, I can't think of, was it DJ Chark and who's the other receiver that they have in Jacksonville right now? But I can't think of, and the young running back that they have in Jacksonville too.
Etienne.
James Robinson.
And Travis Etienne.
Robinson. So it's a possibility that they may actually have some pieces on the offensive side of the ball that we just don't know about because of Urban Meyer's bungling while he was there in Jacksonville. But to answer your question, though, Coach, right now, nothing surprises me in terms of head coach hirings right now.
Nothing.
I would say the biggest surprise was hearing that, oh my God, I see his face and forgot his name that quick. The offensive coordinator out of Tampa Bay,
Byron Leftwich.
Yeah, that he was the favorite for the job, and then it came out that he didn't want to have to deal with the GM there,
right?
And that's the reason why he decided not to take the job. So yeah, at this point, nothing surprises me anymore.
Part of the word there was he said he would take the job, but he gave him an ultimatum. He said you got to fire that guy, and they wouldn't fire him, which is a little. I mean, the guy did a lot of people blamed it on Meyer. A lot of people blamed it on the Tom Coughlin years. The reason that whole defense, left town and guys were paying people to get out of town
was the GM
was the GM or was Coughlin's influence on the front office. So yeah, it's a little surprising as badly as because they had how many years? I feel like it was only like 3 years ago, maybe it was 4 years ago that they were in the AFC Championship game, and came within a few points of beating a New England team, right?
Right.
Lou, they were within a incomplete wheel route of beating New England in New England that year.
Right. That's the year. I mean, going back to tying it up with Sean McVay, that's the year New England beat the Rams. The last time the Rams were in the Super Bowl, right? That horrible Super Bowl that was like, what was it, like 2-0 was the score of that Super Bowl? That's the year, right? It
was 5-2.
That was the year.
It's the one that Zola.
Jacksonville almost beat New England, right?
Right.
I think so.
And they had a spectacular defense 4 years ago, but everybody wanted out after that. So it is a little questionable if that guy was a GM back then and he let everybody go because they didn't want to deal with him, or maybe they didn't want to deal with Doug Marrone. I don't know. why, if that's what all Leftwich wanted was get rid of this guy, and he wasn't like he wanted control. He said, go out and get this guy in Arizona that I worked with with the Cardinals when I was with Arians out there. And they were like, nope, we're sticking with this guy.
And see, and that's the thing. It's a possibility that Byron knew that he wouldn't be able to get some of these veterans to come in and play with him there if that GM was there, if he was a problem.
Right.
So, and if you're looking to rebuild a team almost from scratch with what they currently have, chances are you're going to need to get some experienced vets in order for you to turn this program, turn that team around rather quickly. And that was going to be the thing that blocked him from going, and I completely understand.
And in the non-story, Jim Harbaugh returned to Michigan. I mean, I don't think there's much to real. Are any of us really that surprised that he didn't take the Minnesota job? I mean, I don't think so. But anyway,
I was a little surprised. We spent a long time talking about how it looked like Harbaugh was setting himself up to leave.
Right.
And I mean, I'm a little surprised that that's the only interview he took, because that's the only one we know he officially took, right?
Sure. Right.
I mean, you're the Dolphin guy. Did he ever? Because they pretty much publish all the interviews.
Nope.
Did he ever officially take an interview with Miami?
No. Minnesota was the only one.
That's I think what surprises me the most. Is we heard he was on the Raiders list. We heard he was, because of Stephen Ross's affiliation as an alum of Michigan,
right,
that he was in the Dolphins mix. And I think we all thought the Raiders job and the Dolphin job were better than the Minnesota job because of salary cap space, because of Kirk Cousins not being signed, being old, having a ceiling. That that wasn't the greatest job out there. Some people think the Minnesota job was a good job. That maybe I can see. I'm not surprised he wouldn't take that job, because it doesn't look like it's the greatest job in the world. But I'm a little surprised that he didn't interview for other jobs, and because he certainly seemed to be telegraphing that he was ready to go back to the NFL. And now he's supposedly like, I'm done. That's it. I'm done flirting. I'm Michigan man for life.
Till next year.
But yeah. Again, he's no different than Urban, than all these other guys who, when you had your boy Nick Saban was when he was with the Dolphins. I mean, they're there right up until they think they got a better, the grass is greener someplace else.
So,
Lou, to correct you real quick, the current GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars is Trent Baalke. He wasn't the guy that was there. I just saw his name.
He wasn't there 4 years ago?
No, he wasn't. He actually, the guy that was there 4 years ago, of course, is no longer there. This was Trent's first year in Jacksonville.
Okay.
He actually spent 7 seasons, 1 year as the VP of Player Personnel, the other 6 as the GM with the San Francisco 49ers from 2011 to about 2017.
I gotta tell you, man, you work for the 49ers. You can get a job anywhere in this league.
The dude from Perfect Strangers?
Baalke?
Yeah.
Oh, cousin Baalke?
Yeah. You mean Baltakamus?
Anyway, so then, the one I forgot to put, Kevin O'Connell did get signed to the Minnesota Vikings. He was the coordinator for the offensive coordinator for the Rams. Before that, he was the offensive coordinator for 1 year for Washington. How do you feel about that? Kevin O'Connell to Minnesota.
I'll let D take this one first.
Wait a minute. So Kevin O'Connell, I know that name.
He was your 2019. He was your 2019 offensive coordinator.
We'll see how that works out in Minnesota. Okay, I mean, that's okay. So, wow, this is getting weird, right? Because I thought I heard somewhere that there are now 13 head coaches in the NFL that are part of the Shanahan coaching tree now, right? And everyone loves to go back to the 2013 team.
I'm sorry, D.
No need to apologize.
I piled onto that. I piled on privately.
I know. That's fine. That's fine. I always like to point out, I want people to make sure when they do these comparisons, look at the rosters that Washington had back in 2013 and actually ever since 2013, and compare it to the rosters that the 49ers and the LA Rams currently have. And you know what?
Of course.
I could probably go over to the Rams right now and coach them up to be at least 9-8, if not 10-7. I could mess around and get them to 10-7. So I mean, when you got talent, that's what happens. When you don't have talent, people fire you, and that's why they're no longer here. Oh my God, Daniel Snyder's dumb. He let these guys go. Actually, for once, I side with him on that because of the way that they look coaching. So again, let's see what Minnesota is going to be capable of doing, of turning around this program. Will they keep Kirk Cousins or no? Because it's going to cost them some money to do so. If they don't, what direction do they go into after that? Do they address the Dalvin Cook situation? Because he can't seem to stay healthy. I mean, they have two pretty good wideouts out there in Minnesota. Then what are they going to do with that defense?
I'll say for a job with some expectations, I think this is the worst job to be stepping into. Because of everything you're saying.
Huge expectations in Minnesota.
Right, where Houston and Jacksonville, of course, didn't do anything, so you win some games there and you're looking all right. Bears, kind of the same situation. Minnesota, who's kind of been higher hopes but middle of the road the past couple years, really expect to take a leap, and you're bringing in a first-time head coach. And, I'd say that the expectations there, along with at least taking last year's expectations in Miami maybe, got to be probably the toughest spots to step into. So Brian O'Connell definitely has shoes to fill.
And the worst cap situation. Didn't we see that when we looked at these jobs?
Right, and that's the big difference between Miami and Minnesota right now, too, because as we know, Miami has the best cap situation right now. So we'll see how that all plays out, because they do have a couple guys.
Other teams. I know the Saints and the Giants don't have good cap situations, but I think Minnesota had the worst. Literally, of 32 teams, I think they aren't they literally 32nd in?
I think so.
Cap space.
And just might be.
And why
I saw that chart.
And why Miami's is real good. Also, keep in mind they have to re-sign if they're going to keep Mike Gesicki. They have to re-sign Emmanuel Ogbah if they're going to keep him. There's a couple other players in that same boat, but there's talk. Who knows what's going to happen? But speaking of which, the next coach in the line that did officially get hired after a 10-hour-long interview. The next day, Mike McDaniel gets the Miami Dolphins head coaching job, the offense coordinator from San Francisco.
Mike Jones. Oh my God! What have we done with our lives? We're
Jones?
like in our 40s and not. Oh, I'll get to the Mike Jones thing in just a moment. But yeah, we're men of over 40 and we're not head coaches anywhere. And I'm like, dude, okay, I guess since he was the right-hand man of Kyle Shanahan for so long that he has enough experience to be a head coach, I guess. But the whole Mike Jones thing is after their win over Dallas in the playoffs, former writer for the Washington Post, who's currently with the USA Today, Mike Jones, was there interviewing them that Monday or that Tuesday. And, of course, since he shares the name with the infamous rapper Mike Jones, whose claim to fame was, of course, saying his name as his hook, he, of course, did the same thing during the interview. But I'm not going to lie. Whenever I come across a gentleman by the name of Mike Jones, I do the same thing to him. So it's not like he's in a bad company for doing such things. But I don't do it during NFL pressers either. But yeah.
I mean, my question is, Coach. 10 hours. Did he install Windows 95 and put McAfee on all their laptops? Because not to make fun of what guys look like, but doesn't he look like some guy that works at the Geek Squad in Best Buy?
Sure.
He does not look like an NFL head coach. I will say, looking at that chart you put up, Brian Dable looks like an NFL head coach. Obviously Lovey and maybe, I don't know, I guess, but just.
Well.
And even Hackett kind of looks like an NFL head coach. This guy looks like, like he was going to be making my latte at Starbucks.
He's part of that new wave, though, Lou, of guys who are under 40 that had that.
I guess, dude. He played college football. He played wide receiver at Yale. Those Ivy League wideouts, man, they're a tough group of guys.
Well, good thing Fitzpatrick
goes about $142.
Good thing Fitzpatrick is gone, because that'd be a huge rivalry. But
and again, not to rag on your team, but like you want to get an OC in there, but and again, this goes back to the Minnesota hire too. Why do you hire an OC for a team who everybody on the planet knows the head coach calls the plays? Everybody knows Kyle Shanahan calls the plays, and everybody knows Sean McVay calls the plays in for the Rams.
Well, apparently with McDaniel, though, he came up with most of the schemes, though, including especially for running the ball, which if you take anything into it, they did have a hell of a season.
Oh, yeah, he was the run game coordinator.
They did have a hell of a game with a rookie running back in San Francisco. But look, I don't know. I mean, I'm so torn, and Dolphins fans are so fickle. Like, half of them are complaining like crazy, and the other half are like, welcome. I mean, I would say give the guy a chance. I mean, is he saying all the right things to begin with? Of course he is. Apparently he had a whole plan where, how he can make Tua work and how he can make the Dolphins offense and run game especially succeed, which is why I highly expect we'll go offensive lineman and possibly running back in the next draft. But I don't know. I mean, I did think this time the Dolphins may get somebody with more experience, only because I've seen this play out how many times now at this point and fail in Miami. I mean, obviously Flores succeeded to an extent before he got canned, but Adam Gase, Joe Philbin, Tony Sparano, Cam Cameron, Nick Saban, all these first-time head coaches, some with coordinating experience in the league. I mean, we haven't had an experienced head coach since Dave Wannstedt, and Dave Wannstedt was the one that started to drive the Dolphins in the last couple of years into the can. So, I mean, I can hope it plays out differently. Obviously, you never know. Like you mentioned with Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, these young guys having success. Can it be duplicated with this guy in Miami? I don't know. I mean, I can be hopeful for now, I guess, but I don't know enough about the guy overall to really admit that I think he's great or that I think he's going to completely fail. And, any Dolphins fan...
I think that's the unknown, too. Like you said, you don't know anything about him. I mean, I saw lots of posts from people who were like, I'm a 49ers fan, and I did not know who this guy was.
Well,
I learned more about him today than I knew about him, I guess, his entire time in the league. And then, of course, a few weeks ago, I knew about the whole Mike Jones bit. But I will say this, though, to you, Coach, to make you feel a little bit better. What's one of the ways in which you think Tua will be able to be a more viable QB?
Well, better getting the ball off of him, but offensive line moving him around.
So you say moving him around? What is one thing that the Shanahans are known for? Moving their quarterbacks out of the pocket and letting them perform outside of that pocket. And if they say he is as well tuned in to that Shanahan style of offense, especially Kyle's, that they say he is, I'm expecting him to do the exact same thing with Tua. That offense is gonna have some shades of 2012 Washington Redskins in him.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though,
just saying,
as long as that defense, and they've talked about possibly trying to bring in Fangio or a couple of these other guys that are big-time D coordinators to take over what was this good defense. If not, and with keeping a good portion of that defensive staff in place, which is fine. And obviously we saw how the defense performed last year, especially for the last half of the season. If they can do that and he can improve on the offense at all, they're going to have a shot. Because how much did I complain weekly, even during the streak, about the offense not being able to score points? They were winning because of that defense weekly, even against, as D liked to point out, not very good teams weekly. And then, so I mean, if they could put up more than 20 points a game and actually get some offense to go along with that defense, it could work out. But I don't know. Obviously, it's another brand new head coach that obviously not a lot of people know a whole lot about. Shoot, until a couple weeks ago or a week ago, nobody knew he was biracial. So, oh, God. Anyways, yeah. So also, let's see. The Saints held on to and basically promoted Dennis Allen. Very nice. Giving me the Wile E. Coyote sign, huh?
Well, not giving you the Wile E. Coyote sign. That was for the whole biracial bit. Come on, son. I don't know if he says it, so I'll take it during Black History Month, but
his father is African American, man.
Okay, I guess.
Is his father or is his grandmother?
His father.
Like his father's mother.
His father.
Like both of his father's parents are black, or is one of his father's parents black?
All I know.
I literally went down a deep rabbit hole. So I saw like the interview where he's like, I don't know, whatever.
That's a really.
I saw a picture of his dad. His dad looks like him. I know. I'm going to go down a hole here, a line of that I shouldn't be. I'm going to let D in this. I saw a picture of the dad, and the dad looks more or less like him. And I read something about how he would go to his grandmother's house, and I absolutely believe that his grandmother is. But what I gathered from what I read was that his father is biracial, which makes him multiracial, but which makes everybody happy here.
I guess. Doesn't matter.
Is it a really uncomfortable thing?
No,
that like
look, wait.
The Dolphins and Texans were last.
No.
They're the ones that fired black coaches, so a lot of pressure on them from the league office that they had to do, and after Brian Flores, lawsuit came out, they were under the gun.
Which, by the way, the Dolphins.
I thought it was interesting that Houston did come out and say that the reason why they didn't hire Flores is because of the fact that he's involved in this case right now.
And is that why Lovey got the job? And we haven't gotten to Lovey yet. I know that's next on the list, but
yeah.
I mean, does Lovey have to thank Brian Flores for getting his job? I don't know if you want to thank him for getting that job.
I was about to say, we'll see at the end of the year how Lovey feels about having this.
Well, it's a pay boost for now, so there's that. But I mean, we can get to the Flores thing in a minute, but I mean, whatever. I don't think it matters, but I mean, we do lose sight once in a while that the Dolphins do still have an African American GM too, so it is what it is. But anyways,
absolutely.
One of the seven.
Plus another point that one of the seven, and I know there's only 2 African American coaches in the league now, but don't forget there's actually 4 minority coaches. Four. Who's the? Well, okay, not including Mike McDaniel. If you're including him.
I was including Mike McDaniel. He counts.
Okay, well,
counts.
I was just saying.
Mama say he Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
Because obviously you have Robert Saleh with the Jets and Ron Rivera with Washington, but no, I mean 4 or 5 still seems not enough. But that's of course a discussion for a different day. But yeah, so you brought up Lovey. The only thing it was a hire. It was a hire to basically not have Flores, not have Josh McCown, who I guess there's stuff out there saying McCown might join Lovey's staff. So maybe he's still the future in Houston. I have no idea. That still seemed just weird as anything, as we discussed a couple weeks ago. I will say I found it actually a little bit, shall I say humorous? That might be the wrong way to go. But with the statement that Brian Flores' lawyers put out there right after Lovey was named head coach in Houston. It basically congratulated Lovey in the first line, saying, congratulations, we're glad that, an African-American coach got this job. And then for the next paragraph was, but it wasn't Brian Flores, and he only didn't get this job because of the lawsuit, and that's just ridiculous, and blah, 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 blah. I find it funny because I think of it, I was trying to think of that situation as like another company. As in like, if you went to a Ford dealership to run the dealership, right? So you interview to run this Ford dealership. Then it goes well, you go home, the next day you file a lawsuit against Ford. Are they going to hire you? I would think probably not.
No.
So...
no.
Right. I mean, so I'm just thinking of it that way. And I know the NFL is a whole different situation, and that's why this thing is blown up like it has once again. But that one statement from the lawyers kind of made me just chuckle. Like, You couldn't just leave it at congratulations to Lovie Smith, an African-American man getting a head coaching job, and let it be. But I digress. Lovie in Houston. Houston's going places, I'm sure.
His third job, let's remember. This is the third chance Lovie's gotten.
Yeah.
Well, you're not including Illinois, are you?
No. He had, after the Bears, he coached somebody else after the Bears.
I remember him going to Champaign to coach Illinois.
No, but that was after. I'll get it here.
It would help if I spelled his name correctly.
It would.
He was the Bucks head coach, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, he was Tampa's head coach for 2 years, 2014 and 2015.
I don't remember.
He went 2-14 in 2014. Nice ring to that. And then he went 6-10 in 2015 and was summarily fired. So, I mean, the real question was why he was, fired. And I mean, he was 18 games over 500 in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Had 5 winning seasons, 1 8-8 season, 2 7-9 seasons. Other than his first season there when they were horrible and he was trying to rebuild them and they were 5-11, pretty much, was either one game under 500, at 500, or above 500 every year. But as we know, that's not enough success for black head coaches. Just ask Tony Dungy and why he got fired in Tampa.
Yeah.
After, I think, winning 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Lovie was horrid in Tampa. But Tampa was on a downward spiral for years.
Well, he was bad in Illinois too, but Illinois is not a great football program, and he never coached college. So
17-39 in his years at the Fighting Illini.
But while there, grew an excellent beard.
Made one bowl game, 6-6. He slipped into a bowl at 6-6 in 2019, and summarily lost it. So
yeah, what has Illinois done since too, though? But anyways, regardless, Lovie Smith, the Texans head coach, and as I briefly mentioned, Dennis Allen, the New Orleans head coach. Surprised at all that he is the Saints coach. And once again, when we talk about long interviews, I mentioned Mike McDaniel had that 10-hour interview, whatever they discussed. But Eric Bieniemy was brought into New Orleans and had an 8-hour interview, which apparently landed the coordinator that was already there the head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing surprises me. They decided to stay in-house. So, I mean, there's some continuity there, I guess, to a degree. Of course, the problem that they're going to need to solve is the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do they think that Jameis Winston is the answer? Maybe, maybe not. Do you think he's going to be capable of staying healthy enough to be the answer? That's something else they'll have to find out, too, and then move on from there. But we already see that they have a running back that has issues with being in Las Vegas, as a lot of people tend to do. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing, because it looks like the South Division is one to be had right now.
Well, and the interesting part, too, is, of course, as we know, Jameis is a free agent, and he only signed that 1-year deal with New Orleans, and there's rumors out there that he may be heading back to Tampa Bay to take over the reins again for the Bucks.
Oh, I think as much fun as we have with the coaching carousel, the quarterback carousel should be much more interesting this offseason.
With Rodgers and
speaking of a lot of guys are not obviously the biggest name being Aaron Rodgers.
Speaking of which, though, there's a certain quarterback who decided, and I know I mentioned it to you guys earlier today, but decided to ghost his team now. On his Twitter account, removed all pictures and all mentions of he is the starting quarterback of the team for Kyler Murray. Totally ghosting the Arizona Cardinals now.
Yeah, because he's entering year 4 of his contract, right?
Right, I think.
I just wanted to make sure. I was just looking to confirm things.
It's either 4 or 3. I gotta look.
Okay, because well, he's starting to get to the point where he feels as though that he needs to have his contract renegotiated, and apparently this is the way that young athletes are doing things now to help out with their negotiations in order to show that they're serious now. And it was more so of a basketball thing than an NFL thing. But one of the things that we kind of talked about a couple of years ago is that NFL QBs are starting to understand their worth. And by doing so, they're starting to become divas in their own right in the NFL and dictating their own terms. And they're like, hey, if your team wants to win, you're going to need one of us. And, it only works when you're good. It doesn't work when you're bad. And he feels as though that he's good enough to potentially start renegotiating his deal now, right, and have it done by the end of year 4 before they go ahead and do that extension with him on year 5. Because that's going to be the thing that happens, is that they're going to want to do that extension, but he's going to want to be – he just seems as though that he wants to be compensated and more comfortable further along in the future. And he's using this as a way to start that.
And you're right. He is entering his 4th season there in Arizona.
One thing I heard about this, you guys still hearing me, or am I?
No, we got you.
No, I hear you.
Okay. I heard he literally deleted every mention of every family member on his account. So he literally scrubbed everything from his accounts, not just. What made news in the sports world was he scrubbed all the stuff from the.
Does that mean he's thrown his name out there?
Guy getting on to say that he got rid of all of his pictures of his family, anything he scrubbed that account, period. So did he disown his family this week too?
I was gonna say, so is he looking for?
Right, because it may not be as serious as we think.
How much money to pull in a new last name?
Wow.
Kyler SLZE Sports. That sounds like something. Maybe we should get on that one. Anyways.
Have it on the back of a Cardinals jersey, though? Yeah.
He could just have SLZE on the back. We're okay with that. So, of course, also what happened is what we kind of rumored to anyways on the show last week. The Washington football team now is the Commanders. How do you feel about the Washington Commanders?
Well, I had an idea that it would be the Commanders a month before they made the official announcement. The name, I've grown comfortable with the name. It's just how long it's going to take for me to continue to add Commanders in my vocabulary on a regular basis. But yeah, the thing that I knew would happen, but I didn't think that it would be cornier than a lot of the stuff that I've seen. Of course, the Commodore comments, the commie comments. Oh my God! No one said that NFL fans were bright, but sheesh. And then, of course, the fact that the name is boring and generic. I'm like, okay, if you really were to take a lot of the team names now and rename your team that now, I would say probably 2/3 of the league's names would not be as exciting as people had assume it to be. How exciting would the Packers be right now?
Woo!
I mean, there are a lot of generic names in Lions, Bears, and Rams, Eagles, Falcons. Those are rather generic names. Oh, my God.
Should have just been the Washingtons.
No, that's fine. That's quite all right.
Yeah, they actually wanted to have some attachment to the military, being that this is the seat of government. Pentagon's here. They probably thought it was, I don't know if safe's the right word, but I guess, a lot of people think, if you believe that this is all woke culture, getting rid of the racial slur, then that, there was something safe about Commanders. It is a hard word because it's 3 syllables. When you think about everything you just named, it's either 1 or 2 syllables.
Yeah.
Rams, Bears, Jets, Lions is only 2. Even Redskins was only 2. You'd be hard pressed to find too many sports that are 3 syllables.
I can think of 2 right now in the NFL, and of course Tom Brady's paid for both. So there is an opening at quarterback
And they both have one syllable nicknames. It's the Pats and the Bucks.
Yes, and they do have one syllable nicknames.
Which I guess is why everybody went to commies. But commies is just because all the, conservative snowflakes out there who are, so as they like to say, butthurt over the fact that we got rid of the racial slur, wanted to try to trash it as soon as they could. And, even though their, hero, the game show host, is in bed with, a communist, Vladimir Putin, they just wanted to be like, oh, it's communist, I don't know where you get commies from commanders. I would have thought you'd be like the Mandos or the Coms or something, but who knows?
No, because they're lazy. Let's be real there, Lou. NFL fans,
they're also not
included, we're lazy.
smart either.
What the funny thing, though, to that point, though, Lou, is, you have the right that's butthurt because of the name change, because they wanted it to stay what it was. This is one of the things that both sides of the aisle can agree on here in D.C. is that there are people on both sides of the aisle that wanted the name to still be the same.
Absolutely.
And they're bothered by the fact that it's Commanders now for whatever reason. And it's hilarious to me. I'm like, oh my God, the one thing you guys can't agree on is the name, and but you have different reasons why you don't like the name. It's maddening. But the thing is, I don't care what the team is named, win games.
Well, that's the other big. Obviously, you made fun of the, Packers is a dumb name. I mean, I guess it was named after the meat Packers. I mean, Dodgers is a stupid name because, it was named after the trolley Dodgers, is when the team played in Brooklyn when they had trolleys. Well, they don't even have street trolleys anymore in big cities. And Los Angeles hasn't played in Brooklyn in 50 years.
Knickerbockers.
Yeah, like the knicker. I don't even know what a knickerbocker refers to. And they've been called the Knicks. I mean, they stopped being called the Knickerbockers so long ago that they're only called the Knicks now.
Yeah.
The nickname became the name. The Reds were the Red Stockings, or they tried to. There's a whole story there I just read recently because of the whole that they tried to call them when the whole communist scare started in the 50s. They tried to go back to being the Redlegs because they didn't want to be called the Reds.
Yeah.
And it didn't last because people thought, well, that's stupid. We're not going to call you the Redlegs. And then, of course, the Packers is a good instance because I know a lot of people also are not happy with the logo and the uniforms. They think it's too simple or it doesn't stand for anything. But the Packers, I mean, that G for the Packers is dumb. The reason everybody loves it is because it's attached to a winning team. It's attached to a winning tradition.
Exactly.
If this team goes out and wins 2 Super Bowls in the next decade, people will shut up.
Yeah.
They'll love that W, the stencil W.
That's been
because
the biggest
they
thing
win.
that I've heard is the historical attachment that the name has with the team. Where I'm like, okay, you know what? How are you going to fault the team's name that just came out a week ago for not having historical significance?
Well, that's what makes me laugh. I mean, it does make me laugh at that little crest that they came up with, which
that's the one thing that I'm upset about. Yeah.
Nothing problems with that is you put the years on there that you've won championships. Well, all that reminds me is you haven't won anything in 30 years.
Well, no, Lou, it gets worse because it's the wrong years.
Well, yeah, it's not the seasons; it's the day, for the Super Bowls. Because well, back in the day, championships were played in December, but when they started lengthening the season, the Super Bowls, the 91 season, the Super Bowls in 92. So they put 92 in there. Well, you didn't win the 92 season. You won the 91 season. They just happened to play the Super Bowl in January of 92. And now we play Super Bowls in February.
Yeah.
And if Coach has his way, we're going to be playing them in late February. So, what did you win? Did you win the 92? Yes, you technically won the Super Bowl in 1992, but that was the 90. You're the champions of the 91 season.
Yeah.
This isn't hockey and basketball where we have, hyphenated seasons.
Yeah.
And then I don't even get into the stars. I don't know. Apparently, Washington plays in Tennessee because 3 stars in a row is the DC flag. Stars in that configuration is the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I guess the 3 stars in a row didn't fit in that little wedge of the pie. So, again, I mean, you made a good point when we were talking. You like the simplicity of the watermark, with Washington Commanders. Again, tough word to fit into a logo because it's a long word, a lot of letters. I mean, I don't remember hearing any suggestions that were short. There weren't any Rams or Bears.
No, everything was red something, right?
There was a lot of, I guess if they'd been Red Wolves and they just could have been the Wolves, that would have been shorter. And yeah, I think that might have gone over a little better. But
it most definitely would have gone over better because that was the one that the majority of the fan base wanted. They wanted red something, and if they couldn't have gotten Red Wolves, they would have stuck with Red Tails, which is of course synonymous with the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah, I do feel they're not getting any credit. I'm going to give them credit here, and maybe people just assumed it. So like if they had done anything different, they would have gotten slammed. But they stuck with the color scheme. I mean, there was an opportunity there. I mean, look at the Bullets. When the Bullets changed to the Wizards, they switched colors. They went to that teal and gold thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done that. They could have gone to the navy and red that every other team in DC plays under, but they didn't.
But you know what? There are people who are complaining about the color scheme too. And I try not to be a design nerd this week, but one of the bigger complaints is the white uniform. And when the complaint is that it's not the same burgundy as before, when you do matrix gradient in that red number like that with the white, it's going to make that burgundy look a little bit different. So that's why it optically looks different. It's the same burgundy though. So yeah.
The only thing I'll say about the uniforms, I hope they mix and match them. I do not like the one tone. The pants and the jersey matching.
Oh, they're most definitely going to mix it up. I
want burgundy pants with a white jersey or vice versa.
Oh, you'll see that most definitely.
I mean, the Rams are a good example. I mean, the Rams every once in a while they wear blue with blue and they look like Smurfs.
Yeah.
They should mix and match. Like you got to have the dark pants with a light shirt or vice versa.
So, considering we still have plenty to talk about here, did want to bring up our little HBCU news once again, whether it's not really news yet. But, D, I asked you about this, but, there was a rumor going around that North Carolina A&T, your alma mater, and Howard University could both are being looked at as possibilities to head to the CAA as well. What do you think of that?
So when the news of Hampton going to the CAA first came out, of course, everyone ran to Earl Hilton, the athletic director over at A&T, and asked him what's next. And of course, the move out of the conference, not just of Hampton, but of North Alabama, Kennesaw State. Who else is leaving? Monmouth. With those teams all leaving the conference football-wise, they now have a league of 5 teams. Well, of course, in basketball and all their other sports, they have 10. So the question was asked, and of course, everyone only believes that collegiate athletics is only football. We know that it's not. What will A&T do? And of course, Hilton did say that he will examine all possibilities and see exactly what they're going to do. I guess it would be a good move. I don't know, because if they move to the CAA, the number one thing that not only will pundits do, but I will probably do, is question them on the whole moving to the Big South because you wanted to go ahead and reduce the amount of travel. You move over to the CAA, you're coming from the MEAC, where the furthest trip north was Delaware. Now your furthest trip north on a regular basis in all sports is going to be the Boston area. So you're not necessarily helping out, the kids with the travel on that aspect, and you can't use that. And then, of course, people will ask you, why did you leave the MEAC in the first place? So this is a cluster storm that's waiting to happen if it happens. But I have a strange feeling with about 4 conferences currently in the NCAA on the FCS level that have under 6 teams in their conference for football, which is the number that you need in order. Well, 7 is the number that you need in order to have an automatic qualifier in the FCS. I have a strange feeling that the NCAA may end up changing that rule. because you had so many conferences with less than 6 teams that are looking to participate in the playoffs. So it'll be, I guess, they'll wait and see what happens with that. And then if it's important for them to continue to compete and get an automatic qualifier in football, then we'll see whether or not they make a move. But, as of right now, I'm not surprised by Howard being considered by that move, because with the MEAC now down to 8 teams and waiting to see whether or not they continue to expand or not. Mm-hmm. And if Howard wants to be a part of that, it'll be intriguing to see if they necessarily make that move to do so. Everyone wants to say it's almost an automatic that it happens because their rival Hampton is in the CAA right now. But there have been years in which they haven't played in the same conference for a very long time. I think they'll be fine with not being in the same conference with them again for however long that takes.
Just as we can sit here and wrap up headlines real quick, too, I did find one thing, being a pro Bonds Clemens person for the Hall of Fame, Phil Hughes, former pitcher in the league, came out with a comment on Twitter, which I thought was really funny this past week. Don't know if you saw it or not, but he said, "Just realized I'm eligible for next year's Hall of Fame ballot. I hope we're sticking with the precedent of electing nice guys and not just good players."
Wow. I mean, that'll be the way he gets in. Yeah.
I did think that was funny. Also, I know Lou loves him, but Joe West, the longtime umpire, has finally retired. We did attempt to phone him for a comment, but he stayed true to himself and he missed the call.
Wow.
Oh, you're stealing lines from Ferguson Jenkins?
Might as well, right?
I was gonna say I was gonna quote to Ferguson Jenkins, but Coach stole his line.
I don't even know who Ferguson Jenkins is. But okay.
Fergie Jenkins is not in the Hall of Fame. Is he? Is he in the Hall of Fame? Ferguson Jenkins. Because he took to Twitter and he had 2 comments. One was that when he pitched, he used to call Joe West Ray Charles.
Wow.
And then he came out with the line. Then he also tweeted the line that Coach just said. He said, I tried to call Joe to congratulate him on his retirement. He missed that call too.
Fergie is in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. So I'll leave the jokes to the Hall of Famer, and I'll actually attribute them and not steal them.
I didn't even know who Ferguson Jenkins that he came out with a statement. But whatever you say,
you didn't know that he made that joke.
Probably
lots of people made that joke.
Probably
Joe West, but
I know you'll miss him. Lou.
Nobody's gonna miss
him. But before we move on, real quick, Lou, since you did point it out last week, I thought I'd go ahead and bring it up. The Portland Trailblazers are seeming to be cleaning house right now.
They made more trades today, didn't they?
They did. They sent C.J. McCullough and a couple of players over to the New Orleans Pelicans, and then last week they sent over Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the L.A. Clippers.
Gomer Pyle?
So, not Gomer Pyle, no. Norman Powell. So, I'm thinking that the Portland Trailblazers have realized that they've gone as far as they can go, and that they're starting to hit the reset button. The question is whether or not Damian Lillard next on that list.
Yeah, that was my question.
Where will he end up going? Yeah, because I mean they got rid of his help, so I'm thinking he might be next to go. But the question is where.
Well, we'll definitely see. And right before we get to our Super Bowl talk, we do have business to take care of. Sorry, Lou, did you have a comment you wanted to make there?
No, I was going to ask when the trade deadline this week, D? NBA trade deadline?
God, that's
before the All-Star break? Because the All-Star break is this weekend, right? Or no, is it next? It's the weekend after the Super Bowl.
It's the weekend after.
They're not dumb.
It's Thursday.
Okay. It's coming up. That's why.
Yeah.
We are sleazy. We are SLZE Sports. You can always listen to us right here on Facebook Live, Tuesdays, 9 o'clock p.m. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at SLZE Sports. With that being said, it is time, before we get to the Super Bowl discussion, time for our 539th Sleaze of the Week. Oops.
All right, we start out with one just for our good friend Adrian. Apparently the D coordinator at Alabama football team, Pete Golding, was arrested on DUI charges last week. Arrested and jailed. A lot of times you I guess.
That's how they do in Bama.
Yeah, I don't know anything else other than he was arrested. There you go. I had a couple of disturbing ones. So, UCLA had a rough week. They traveled to Arizona twice last week, lost both games. One to a pretty highly ranked Wildcats team, a ranked Wildcat. That was one of our picks last week. Then over the weekend, they lost to Arizona State, who's not ranked at all. But when leaving the court after the game at Arizona on Thursday night, their redshirt freshman forward Mac Etienne, I believe. I think it's the same as the name of the guy who came out of Clemson. He apparently spit on a fan, and he was actually arrested and charged with assault. Yep. So there's that one.
I've got spitters.
Yep. I mean, the kid is he's a freshman forward.
Was the magical loogie from Keith Hernandez? That's what I want to know.
It wasn't the magic loogie. And then I put up this one. I mean, being a cat owner myself, so this comes from to the English Premier League. A guy named Kurt Zouma plays for West Ham. This came out in one of the British tabloids. You gotta wonder, I guess his younger brother not only filmed this incident in their home, but posted it to some kind of social media of this guy picking up and kicking the family cat and then throwing stuff at it, and everyone in the video was laughing. I guess the people think it's funny to abuse your pets. So of course, lots of apologies had to be issued, and people are investigations are being done. But yeah, guy's name is Kurt Zouma, player for West Ham in the English Premier League, was on video and made its way around the interwebs. That's all I got for you this week. I got the cat kicker, the spitter, and the guy got a DUI.
Well, and Alvin Kamara.
Oh yeah, and then Alvin Kamara. Geez, yes, he's probably our winner. The reports now, I guess I didn't understand the story, but I think that the times were wrong, because when it said it was 5 p.m., it made no sense whatsoever. Then when it actually was, I think the story was updated and it said 5 a.m. So he and his buddies were at the Pro Bowl in Vegas. This is why it's one thing when you hold them in Hawaii. Maybe you shouldn't hold the Pro Bowl in Vegas. A little bit too much fun to be had. He and his little bunch of buddies were out at a club into the evening, late into the morning, Friday night into Saturday morning, and got into an altercation, and it sounds like they beat the crap out of the guy at literally, because it said the incident occurred at 5:50 p.m. I'm like, who's at a nightclub at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? No, it was almost 6 a.m. Saturday morning, and they beat this guy up so bad that he had to go to the hospital. But they not only so then all day Saturday goes by, all day Sunday goes by, he goes to the stadium, plays in the game Sunday afternoon, and then the cops show up and arrest him. They also, one thing I didn't hear, was, because they have video, because these nightclubs have cameras everywhere. Mm-hmm. Did any of his buddies get arrested too? Because I definitely read in one of the stories that Kamara did not throw the first punch or hit the guy first, but he was one of the people that jumped on him and started kicking this guy.
And I guess what happens in Vegas,
he shouldn't be the only one charged with assault and whatnot, right? I mean, if 4 or 5 guys beat the crap out of this one idiot who picked a fight with 5 guys,
you would think
shouldn't all 5 guys be charged with assault and whatnot? I know we're only going to hear about the famous person,
of course,
but shouldn't his whole entourage be charged with the same crimes?
You would think,
but of course, none of that makes the news.
No.
Yeah, we can give it to Alvin, or we can give it to the guy who's, the poor freshman. I mean, I'm not that he's poor, but the guy's 18 years old and was pissed off that his team lost in hostile territory, and fans were yelling at him, so he spit at him.
I mean, Kamara was
the guy who
biggest
kicked the cat. I'm all for giving it to the guy who kicked.
But whatever you want.
Kamara's been around long enough. I mean, you gotta know that extricate yourself from those situations. If you
Yeah.
put yourself in that position to be out till 6 a.m. drinking with your buddies in Vegas, I mean, one thing if your buddies are going to go beat the crap out of somebody because you're going to get in trouble for that anyways, but you can't be one of them,
Nah.
jumping in and kicking the guy too.
Nah. I will say this, though, Lou. Trent Williams did get into a fight when he was out in Honolulu for the Pro Bowl. So it's not necessarily where it is, it's who it is. And
I'll give you that. You can get in trouble anywhere.
But God, oh my God, who's the other? It was a Bengals Steelers thing that happened a few years ago with what's his name?
James Harrison.
James Harrison and that offensive lineman with the Bengals. And, yeah, but oh God, I mean, Kamara gets it because he's a known entity, but I don't want to necessarily give it to Kamara because he wasn't the only person involved. This is who I was leaning towards. No, I'm the cat person because of the abuse to cat. I can't, Yeah, cats. Yeah. Where you going, Coach?
I mean, I'm good either way. I mean, Kamara was a bigger story, but yeah, I mean, senselessly beating up an animal, though I guess both things were senselessly beating something up.
They're all on our. We did not post the Kamara story to our page, but the other ones are all posted to our page. And in other news, and it's not really sleazy because we don't give sleazes for sucking at your job, but America's top hope for medals in alpine skiing news a few days ago because she didn't even finish her run in the giant slalom. Well, her best event is the slalom. Didn't finish her first run. Like skied out again.
I've been hearing there've been a lot of people who skied out on those slopes there. Do you think it might be something to that?
Yeah, but there's a lot of them that finish them too. I mean, I certainly like the lesser athletes that aren't as good. Yes, but I mean, she's supposed to be the best in the world. And either she's pushing too hard or something's going on mentally with her or something. But
or they're being underfed, like we've heard.
The picture online is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm good with the cat beater upper. That's for Sweet Lou there.
All right. Okay. We got Super Bowl talk.
Well, before
we got cockfights earlier, and now we got pushes getting done.
Oh yeah, we got to do food talk.
Well, before we do that, I just wanted to mention last week's 10 picks. We did have the Pro Bowl last week, which we all picked the AFC. They did win 41-35, so we all got that one correct. Then in the NBA, we had the Jazz Nuggets. I was the only one to take the Jazz, who did win 108-104. Then I was also the only one to take the Mavericks to beat the 76ers, and they did as well, 107-98. Then we went to the NCAA, where Arizona beat, and I tell you, for games that should have been good, none of these games were good. Arizona beat UCLA 76-66. You both got that correct. You both also got the Illinois-Wisconsin game correct, with Illinois going 80-67 against Wisconsin. We all took Villanova to beat Marquette, and Marquette won 83-73 with the upset. So we did not get that one correct. We were 1-1 this week on our unanimous picks. You both took Texas to beat Iowa State. They did 63-41. D and I took Kansas to beat Baylor. We were right, 83-59 against Baylor. Then 84-58, Tennessee Tech beat Eastern Illinois. Lou and I got that one. And in women's basketball, UConn all over Tennessee, 75-56. That meant
God,
I got the dub. I had 6 right. You both had 5. The tiebreaker came to the total points in the Pro Bowl. There were 76 points scored. Closest, D. Nash had 66 points. Lou had 50. So D gets the second place. So now unanimously, we are at 70% of our picks correct. We are of our unanimous picks correct. We're all over 50 on our regular picks still. Lou at 54, D at 60, I'm at 62. And I have the lead right now. I have 7 overall points to D Nash's 5 points to lose -2. -2 points, Lou.
I keep losing on tiebreakers, man.
I tell you what, though, that's the lowest we've ever been. I'm just saying, no. Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, I know we keep track of who wins the tiebreakers. We should keep track of, when the tiebreaker counts for actually breaking a tie. Because sometimes the winner like has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this week I know D won, but like sometimes it's the two people that aren't actually the winner that breaks the tie. And
That is something else I got to remember.
it's twice now this year I've tied for either second or tied for first, and
I'll tell you,
I think
Lou,
I've tied for second twice.
we've had the
lost
-2
the
score.
stupid tiebreaker.
We've never had a -3 score, so don't try to tread there. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Who knows?
So
I'll try, man.
I don't get to play this song very often, so yeah, let's talk about food. All right, so I got some food facts, or close to facts, I should say, because obviously they're all estimates or approximate numbers for the Super Bowl this Sunday. First of all, and most of all, we already said beer before. How many gallons of beer will be consumed this Sunday? How many gallons of beer will be consumed this Sunday?
A 125 gallons of beer.
Oh Jesus! It's like 2 million gallons of beer.
Oh, Jesus. It's like 325.5 million gallons of beer.
Well, there you go.
It's enough to fill about 492 Olympic-sized swimming pools, by the way. All of beer. So in that being said, and so now you know how many millions of gallons, about how much money will be spent for beer this Sunday. And I'm not talking about wine, not liquor, just beer this Sunday.
$100 million.
I am going to go 625.
Closer, about $1.3 billion on beer for this Sunday. All right, how many pounds of potato chips will be consumed? Pounds of potato chips.
Now, they don't. I mean, you actually get a lot of bags just to get 1 pound.
Yeah. Which is why I'm going to go 10 million pounds.
I was going to say 6 million pounds.
Ooh, D, you were close. 11.2 million pounds of potato chips. How many pounds of guac will be consumed?
Oh, a lot of guac.
3
50
million
million.
pounds.
50 million.
This one still goes to D. It's 8 million. Lou's shooting for the stars there, but 8 million pounds. Maybe Lou will try to add a couple million
Guac
on.
was
but-
heavy. I just thought guac was heavy.
How many pounds of pretzels? Pounds?
I'm going to go 3.5 million.
I'm going to say 8.5 million.
Tell you, D's getting better at this. 4 million. 4 million pounds of pretzels. How many pounds of nuts will be eaten during the Super Bowl?
These nuts.
I don't
That
know.
never gets old. My God. I think I'm going to say it one time before I die.
Epitaph.
These nuts. Oh, I'll be like Rosebud. These nuts will be my Rosebud. Who knew? I'm
Or-
going to go with 1.5 million pounds.
Or like Mel Blanc on his,
These
it
nuts.
says that's all, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these. Just say these. Yeah.
You said 1.5 mil. Lou, what do you say?
Yeah.
4 million.
2.5 million. 2.5 million. So you're both pretty
He's
close.
killing me.
Well, you're both close there, though. All right, how many pizzas will be eaten this Sunday? How many whole pizzas?
How many whole pizzas? I'm going to go with 1 point. I'm going 2 million.
No, I think it's like 20 million.
Well, closest without going over would go to D, but it is 12.5 million. About 12.5 million pizzas.
See, I get that.
Which, by the way, if they were all mediums, they would cross the Golden Gate Bridge 1,392 times. So if you just want to think about that. But anyways,
Wow.
How much money will be spent on these pizzas this Sunday?
You said it was 12 million?
12.5 million.
I'm going to go 300 million.
I'm going to say $10 billion.
Well, it's 130 million. So D gets it. Lou shot for the moon again. Here's a good one. How many chicken wings will we eat this Sunday? Chicken wings.
I'm going to go with 36 million wings.
Go with 18 million wings. Half of what D said.
Man, and you both are so low. Wings. 1.38 billion wings this Sunday. Which, by the way, and again, I found a nice little comparison that someone put out there. Enough to fill about 9,900 Cadillac Escalades. 9,900 Cadillac Escalades chocked full of wings. I don't know how they figured that one out, but whatever. All right.
Sounds like a black man's dream.
One in how many Americans will...
Sorry, God, not doing Black History Month, but that was there.
One in how many Americans will eat takeout for the one in how many Americans will order takeout during the Super Bowl?
Wow, how many?
One in every how many Americans?
Or like one in every 3, one in every 6.
Right.
I'm going to go with one in every 2.
I'll go with one in every 4.
Lose closer. It's one in every 7.
Okay.
One in every 7. And what percentage of that 1 in 7 will order pizza?
40%.
I'm going to go 33%.
Lou gets this one too. It's 60%. 60% of the 1 in 7 will order pizza.
Yeah, because I guess if you're having, I guess you can order wings but pizza. Nobody makes pizza at home, but the other stuff you can make yourself. Like,
I make.
I made my
own
wings.
I mean, I'm not going to this
Coach makes
Sunday.
his own wings.
I'm not. Well, and I make my own pizza, but I'm not going to do it this Sunday because Ryan owes me.
But I said, if between the two, if I was going to make one, I'd make the wings long before I'd make the pizza.
Sure.
Pizza's a pain in the.
So Super Bowl week is also
these nuts.
Super Bowl week is also the second biggest grilling week of the year. What's the first?
Oh, it's the
4th
4th
of July.
Yes, it's
4th
the
of
4th of
July.
July. How many burgers will be grilled up to be served for the Super Bowl? How many burgers grilled up for the Super Bowl?
I'm going to go with 1 million.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a big burger day.
Yeah.
I feel like the wings and the pizzas and I'm gonna go 2.5 million.
Well, it's still the second biggest grilling week of the year. It's actually 14 billion burgers still grilled up.
Oh my gosh, billion! Holy!
Where? Who is making all these burgers?
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't.
And the fun.
I've never had burgers at the Super Bowl.
And the fun
I
two.
can't remember last time I had a burger in the Super Bowl either, Lou.
The fun two wants to go off on here. Approximately how many Americans are going to call into sick on Monday? How many Americans are going to call into work sick on Monday?
Not enough.
25 million.
I'm going to go with 40 million.
This time you both really shot. It's at 1.5 million Americans calling sick on Super Bowl Monday. But also, lastly, compared to the rest of the year, how much will sale for antacids increase Monday after the Super Bowl compared to the rest of the year?
10%.
1,000%. Going both sides of the spectrum.
This goes D. It's 20%. Antacids will sell 20% more Super Bowl Monday than any other time of the year. So there you go. Fun time with food, I guess. So, yes, Super Bowl 56 happening this weekend. Obviously, as we know, this Sunday, the Rams And the Bengals, Super Bowl, none of us really saw coming overall. I think the Rams weren't the big surprise there overall, but the Bengals definitely are. So let's start with the regular going back and forth here. So we got, obviously, I said the Rams and Bengals. So you're going to talk about and tell me who has the advantage when we talk about each side of the ball here. So let's talk about first the Rams and their passing offense with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham going against the Bengals pass defense. Who do you think has the advantage and why?
You want to go first, Lou? You want me to go first?
I'll take this one since I'm the guy who's been picking the Rams all season. Yeah, I mean, I'll take the Rams, and more than anything because I would worry about the ability for. I think every team in the NFL in this day and age, the way you stop a team passing the ball with the rules in place now is you got to get a pass rush. I don't think the Bengals, especially with I don't know what Larry's last name is, but they lost one of their best pass rushers. They still got Hendrickson, but they don't have what is that guy's name that got hurt in the game against Tennessee? Larry Oba, I don't know. But yeah, that's why I think you definitely had the Rams have an advantage here. Kupp's been the best receiver in the NFL this season. Beckham has, found the fountain of youth. I do think it's worrisome that both teams tight end. But I really think the advantage is that the Cincinnati pass rush isn't good enough to disrupt the Rams passing game.
Do you agree, D?
As good as statistically good as individuals from the Cincinnati Bengals have looked defensively, with Logan Wilson leading the NFL with 30 total tackles. I'm sorry. Yeah, he is leading the NFL. And then you got Sam Hubbard, who has 3 sacks. Like Lou said, Trey Hendrickson, who has 2.5 sacks. BJ Hill, who has a 2.5 so far during the playoffs. The problem is that the Bengals haven't been able to stop anybody in the air. They've allowed an average of 371 yards in the air this year. Well, not this year, but during the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with Lou and say that the Rams passing offense has the advantage, most definitely, especially with Matt Stafford having a very pristine playoff, like Lou said, 905 yards passing in the air, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception, which is very un-Matthew Stafford-like. So my question is, does he end up having a Matthew Stafford-Detroit game this weekend or not? But as of right now, statistically, I'm leaning towards the Rams passing offense.
The reason I would say no at all to you there, D, is just because my personal belief there is that Matthew Stafford in Detroit had to do it all. He was the offense, period, and he is not the offense, period. Even though he's had a stellar year and, like you said, a stellar playoffs, he has a lot of options and 3 good running backs there. Well, at least 2 healthy, good running backs there to help him out as well. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I think, obviously we've seen the Bengals defense struggle too. It's usually not the defense that's propelled that team to their great wins, and we'll see how this goes. But, yeah, I think especially with all the weapons that he's got, especially I don't know if the Higbee is going to be healthy or not for the game, but if he can, that would be a big thing for the Rams too. But, yeah, definitely the edge there, I believe. Flip side. So now you got the Bengals passing offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, against the pass defense, featuring some really good players as well on the Rams side. D, why don't you start it off this time?
Wow. Statistically, that Rams defense hasn't necessarily put a ton of pressure on people so far during the playoffs. but they haven't played the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. And it's interesting that this O-line has basically been surviving on running off of various combinations of lineman setups. With that said, I'm still going to lean towards the Rams defense, pass defense, but I don't even know if this. Well, I'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, I'll give the advantage to the Rams pass defense.
Lou?
I mean, it's hard to bet against Joe Burrow at this point. You know, as talented as Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham are, I mean, the combination of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, even if CJ, I can't say his name either, Azuma is not good to go, is spectacular. I mean, all three of them. And I mean, if Robert Wood was healthy, I would be a different thing. But Van Jefferson as the number 3 with the Rams probably doesn't stack up as well as those 3 receivers. I mean, Tyler Boyd is a heck of a number 3 receiver. That being said, if you go back to my first point, is like, I mean, this is, you go from like maybe the number 24, 25th best pass rush from Cincinnati. This is the number 1 pass rush in the NFL. I mean, this is Von Miller, this is Leonard Floyd, and this is, of course, who is rated time and again the best overall player in the NFL, Aaron Donald. And oh, by the way, you got Jalen Ramsey back there at 1 quarter. Of course, he can only, cover one guy. The rest of that Rams secondary is a little pedestrian. So, yeah, I would give a slight edge here to the Rams, but, I mean, I wouldn't count Joe Burrow. I mean, he's going to get points. I mean, my assumption is they're going to at least, get some field goals, get in scoring chances in this game. I would not count Joe Burrow out. I mean, he got sacked 9 times against Tennessee, and he still, put up enough points to beat Tennessee. Granted, a lot of field goals in that game. I would not be surprised if to see Evan McPherson get a lot of chances to kick field goals. Mm-hmm. But I'll agree with D. I'd give them a slight edge again because of the pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part too is, we saw Von Miller, obviously past Super Bowl MVP Von Miller with the Broncos, really kick it up in the playoffs. I mean, ever since the trade to the Rams, as defensive line goes, he was kind of pedestrian for the Rams the second half of the season, and didn't really, I mean, he had some moments here and there, but didn't do a whole lot. But in these playoffs, Von Miller has been great. And if he can keep that up, along with everybody else you just mentioned, it can cause problems. But again, is it that easy to call off and not trust Joe Burr at this point, right? I mean, golly, that's a great matchup that I nearly want to say push, but somehow they find a way to get it done. I would even, at this point, as long as that offensive line can hold anything, I'll give Joe Burrow a little credit here and just edge them slightly just because of how that they've been able to move the ball and surprisingly at times get things done. But either way, it's a great matchup. It'll be very, very interesting to see how that pass rush goes against Burrow. And even if so, we saw Burrow, if you remember, the championship game be a lot more mobile than we saw in the past couple of games too. He moved around a lot more, broke some of those tackles and whatnot. He should have been sacked 2 or 3 more times, but including the one where an arm was completely on him, yet he was able to roll out of it and make a play. So we'll see. I mean, if they can come at him at all sides, obviously that can shut him down quick, but it's a Super Bowl, man. I think we're going to see some good scoring in this one. So let's look at the other side, the rushing offense and defense, and we'll start with the Rams once again. So obviously the rushing offense for the Rams against the rushing defense of the Bengals. I mentioned, obviously a couple running backs, Cam Akers, Sony Michel there for the Rams. Can they do enough against this Bengals defense? Where would you go there, Lou?
Yeah, we starting with Bengals?
Rams running backs.
Bengals were. I guess they're doing weird things to
Lost
me. I'm sorry.
There for Lou. No, the Rams running backs.
Rams running backs. Oh, okay. And I'd probably give the advantage to the Bengals here. I think they're one of the better teams in the league. If I think they're like top 5 in rush defense. And I mean, I'm a little worried. Like Cam Akers came back from the injury, played in the playoffs, but he got a little dinged up again in the championship game. You know, I did hear I thought Darrell Henderson might actually be back, but I don't know if we can count on that yet. And Sonny Michel has been fine as a replacement for both of those guys. But, you know, like I said, the Bengals are a top 5 rush defense. So I would give, actually, this is one place I would absolutely give the Bengals. And that's going to be an important part. Like, I don't think if you put this all on Stafford's shoulders, that's when he ends up, you know, getting in trouble and making mistakes. And I think the Bengals absolutely need to win the turnover battle to pull out a victory here. And that's going to start with them shutting down the run. If between Akers and Michelle, they can get, you know, 70 to 100 rushing yards in this game, then the Rams are really going to control the game. If they can shut down the run and really force Stafford to have to make play after play after play, that's when the Bengals are going to have a chance. But I give the Bengals the advantage here.
D?
So, the Rams running backs haven't had great games so far this playoffs, but the Bengals allow about 130 yards per game on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and give the slight advantage to the Rams on this one. But again, I'll get back to advantages a little bit later on.
Yeah. Again, I mean, another solid matchup here. If Daryl's back, truthfully, having a 3-headed monster there, it could be really good for the Rams. I know the Bengals have been real good, but I mean, you look at that offensive line for the Rams too, and how it's been built. I mean, some real veterans in there like Whitworth and whatnot who have been in the league a long time and finally getting to the Super Bowl. I know the Bengals are good there, but I kind of agree with D just on the fact that not only the Rams have different running backs, they're different style running backs too. And if I feel like they've been able to get yards. I know, you know, Cam also had an issue with fumbling the ball after coming back, but I overall just think that the Rams offense slightly on some aspects and more so on others has the advantage over the Bengals in this one, which, like, I would say you would expect it to be high scoring, which probably means it'll be low scoring, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm going to agree there with D with giving that slight edge still to the Rams. So what about the Bengals rushing offense against the Rams rushing defense? So obviously big time Joe Mixon going against that defensive line and linebackers of the Rams. D?
Well, the Rams haven't allowed more than 60 yards per game in the playoffs to any team so far. But I think they're going to have a little bit more of a test with Joe Mixon. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think he's going to be more of a threat in the pass game, though. But I'm going to give the slight advantage to Cincinnati in that matchup.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the defense again on this one. I think both teams have good rush defenses, and obviously I agree with what D said. But you know, I think San Francisco has obviously they want to run the ball, but they didn't have. I mean, between Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, yeah, I mean, shutting them down was a big deal. But they beat the Bucks, who you know had a banged up backfield with Leonard Fournette, and who they beat? They beat Arizona, who also had a probably dinged up with Connor and Edmonds. Yeah, I give the Rams. Yeah, I'm giving both rush defenses the advantage here, which is really obviously, you know, it's trite to say this is going to come down to the quarterbacks, but this game's going to come down to the quarterbacks.
You're so trite.
Trite.
Yeah, I mean, again, Mixon has had spurts, but again, I don't think the defenses they've played, especially on the rush side of it, has been as overly effective. And you're taking on the Rams, who they're a different beast. You just mentioned all they have, especially on the inside. That would mean Mixon has to get to the outside really to have some success. And the Rams are quick out there. So Yeah, I mean, I think I go slight advantage Rams there too. But man, it's hard to say that when I pick three sides of that going Rams, yet the Bengals just keep finding a way, and we'll see if that happens again. But yeah, so we can talk about special teams. This is where you have Matt Gay, the kicker, and Johnny Hecker, the punter for the Rams. Cincinnati's got, of course, Evan McPherson, who's been stellar in the playoffs. Kevin Huber's the punter there. Lou, what do you think about the special teams?
I think definitely from the place kicking standpoint, you got to give McPherson the advantage. About Gay's health, I mean, he definitely, we saw him come up short on that one kick because there was I don't know, it was a hamstring or what. He definitely had an issue with his kicking leg. So McPherson definitely get it. But on the other side, I mean, Johnny Hecker is, if not the best punter in the NFL right now, he's definitely in the top 5 punters. So that's kind of a wash. I don't know if do either of them have a spectacular returner, like somebody who's really going to be a game changer.
Spectacular? I don't know if you were going to call him spectacular, but if you talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and you talk about Chris Evans, who's actually leading the NFL during the playoffs by having 23.4 yards per kickoff return.
Wait, you're telling me Captain?
That's something.
Captain America is returning kicks for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Makes it easier with the shield. Makes it that much easier with the shield.
He's fast, man. On your left.
Okay. But so to answer Coach's question, I'll go ahead and say I'm going to give the nod to special teams. Not special teams, but the Cincinnati Bengals and special teams on this. And are you going with one more category, Coach, before we wrap it up?
2 more.
Okay.
Even though the last one is always kind of silly to me, but yeah. So now it's sorry. I'm actually going to agree on the fact that I think Cincy does, just because as much as I feel like I should hate because Evan McPherson's a Gator. Again, I don't take it into the pros, but McPherson has been so stellar in these playoffs. You talk about Joe Burrow being Joe Burr, Joe Cool, Joe whatever. I mean, Evan McPherson has been colder than ice with him. I mean, so I think especially if it came down to a late kick or something, who am I trusting first? Especially Lou mentioned Matt Gay and the slight injury he had too. Hopefully it's better going into this game. You'd rather all players that could be healthy be healthy. But yeah, I mean, just kicking alone, I would definitely throw Evan McPherson's way. Even though, punter, like you said, Hecker has been so good for so long. But yeah, overall, I'd give Cincy special teams a slight advantage there. But yeah, then coaching. So you got Zach Taylor, you got your boy Sean McVay. I started with Lou. So D, coaching, McVay versus Taylor.
Wow. I'll say in recent weeks, even though, of course, they've all won out during the playoffs, but in recent weeks, I'm also including toward the end of the regular season. I've seen situations where the Rams have allowed games to be a lot tighter than what they needed to be, and in some cases lost them late. I don't know if you want to necessarily blame coaching fully on that or not, but I've seen situations where coaching has boosted the Cincinnati Bengals by having players who don't necessarily make plays on a regular basis do so on their way to the Super Bowl. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is not out of hate because he's no longer in D.C., but I'm going to take Zach Thomas. I'm sorry, not Zach Thomas, but Zach Taylor.
Thomas, good
Zach
pick.
Taylor, one of the Tool Time brothers.
Or future Hall of Famer Zach Thomas.
Yes, I'm taking him as the Bengals coach. Yeah.
Fingers crossed that something goes right for the Dolphins. Lou?
Yeah, I mean, I know people rag on me a lot. They think he doesn't manage the clock well. He doesn't, makes blunders. But you got to kind of like the guy who's at least been here before. Now, he had a horrible Super Bowl in that, 2-0 game against the Patriots. I mean, clearly Belichick completely outcoached him in that game, but that's also not Bill Belichick on the other side of the field. It's, Opie Taylor over there was, I think about 15 years old. So I think you got to give it to the guy who's got a experience. I think Zach Taylor's probably older than Sean McVay still. He wasn't McVay like 32 when he got the Rams job?
Something like that, yeah.
So he might be like 38 now. But I think you got to give a little bit of advantage to the guy who's got more head coaching experience and has been in this game before.
Let's see. Zach Taylor is 38.
They might be just about the same age.
Sean McVay is 36. So McVay is 2 years younger.
So he's still 2 years older.
Younger.
Yeah, so McVay is,
Cunningham.
he's been a head coach longer.
No, I mean, I'm going to agree with you on the fact that I know Zach Taylor has an amazing season, obviously in the running, if not possibly going to win the Coach of the Year award. But you got to go with who's been there before, I think, especially in a Super Bowl situation. And like you said, I know it was horrible last time and he didn't come through, and obviously the Rams got out-coached, outplayed. But, again, he's been there before. And that means something, especially in the Super Bowl. And I think, obviously, McVay has been a great coach out there in L.A., and I think he has, because of the longer term plus the fact that he's been in more playoff games and he's been in a Super Bowl, I think you have to slightly at least give McVay it for now. And then the one I hate, because it's always about the ball bouncing, the mentality, the I don't know, other aspects of the game, but the intangibles, if there's a slight intangible or
Well, I think there's one huge intangible that we haven't mentioned.
Okay.
Well, for the second time ever and the second time in 2 years, we actually have a home team.
Yeah.
And granted, you don't have the home team in front of the fans because of the way they distribute tickets, but you got to figure that, there's going to be some home field advantage to being at home, not living in a hotel. I don't know. Maybe it's worse being at home. Maybe there's more pressure on the Rams being at home. There's certainly more pressure being the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like we talked several weeks ago about, the Cincinnati team is the first team to have 4 guys 25 and younger to hit those milestones, the 1,000-yard, 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 4,000-yard. Maybe they're just young enough not to, to be stupid enough not to know that there should be pressure on them, but I think home field's got to count for something. That's the one thing when you say intangibles comes to mind to me is,
sure.
We've only ever seen home field happen one other time, and worked out for the home team last year.
1-1.
Yeah. I don't know, Lou. I don't know if I necessarily want to call home field advantage an intangible, because by definition, it says something that has physical presence and.
Being that the Super Bowl is supposed to be a neutral site, that's why.
True, I'll give you that.
Super Bowl, they don't usually talk about it in a Super Bowl.
I got you. Agreed. But I'm wondering whether or not they allow their guys to stay at home. I mean, do they put them in a hotel? Chances are they probably do.
Yep.
Because it's the Super Bowl. But if I knew what the intangibles were, they wouldn't be intangibles, then, would they? It's just one of those things that we end up discovering during game day. But I will say this, though. Even though I leaned a lot towards the Rams having the advantage, I guess this is my intangible, right? We talked about the Rams, well, I did at least, having more of an advantage on both sides of the ball. It's not necessarily who has the advantage. It's who's capable of making plays in this game when needed, and I've seen that happen more so with the Cincinnati Bengals this offseason than I have with the Rams. And with that one, I guess that's my intangible. You had Samaje Perine with the 43-yard touchdown reception. B.J. Hill last week, 2 weeks ago, with the interception from the defensive lineman. You had another guy, another wideout, get the 2-point conversion that no one knew about. So if that's something that they can continue to carry over, McPherson, no one. For those who weren't following McPherson this season, he probably came from out of nowhere. So we've seen the Bengals do more of that this offseason, in my opinion, than anybody else in situations where people thought that they would lose, especially if not just the Tennessee Titans, also with the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So if this is something they can carry over, And to Sunday, I'll tip my hat to the intangible winner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I know LA is hosting the game, but I think the city that gets it would be Cincinnati, and you guys know why, right?
Why?
Cincinnati.
Is this the thing about the gorilla?
No, that's silly. Cincinnati has the Cincinnati School District has canceled all school for the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Wait, that only works if you win. Because if you lose, that's a sad Monday.
Yeah, but at least
just another manic Monday.
You can keep your kids up. You can watch your team, and you don't have to worry about school, or and you can be one of those 1.5 million people calling in to work, and you're good to go to watch your team win or lose, but in a Super Bowl for the first time in quite a long time. Yeah. Also, one other fact before we move on, even though, D, I don't know if you had something else you wanted to talk about there before we got to the 20 picks for this week. I thought it was an interesting fact that came out. I don't know if you saw it or not, but that Joe Burrow's Super Bowl, Joe Burrow's debut in the Super Bowl will be earlier than any other starting quarterback that was drafted at number 1 overall, being his second year.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Stafford's Super Bowl debut will come at year 13, which is later than any quarterback drafted 1 overall that made the Super Bowl. So just thought that was an interesting fact going into it.
Both ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. So, picks. We got 20 of them this week. Obviously, as we go through. Some, or I should say most you would recognize, but we'll go from there. Lou, I know you lost last week, but you know what? I'm going to let you go first this week because, well, my cursor ended up over your name. So, to start off, and I tried to go pretty much in order of game flow with this, except for the first pick, because our first 2 picks, I kind of felt like you have to do these first. These are the big bets. First one is, of course, the game itself. Los Angeles Rams, Cincinnati Bengals, Sunday, 6:30, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Lou, what you got?
Well, I've been today. I was reading up on stuff and trying to figure out what I thought and trying to have stuff to talk about on the show tonight. And I came across this article on the Worldwide Leader site. So they had their quote unquote experts just give game picks, and 9-5 guys picked the Bengals.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, that's quite surprising for a team that's I think the line has gone from 3.5 to it's as high as 4.5, maybe even 5 now. So it's definitely moving towards the Rams, which means more bettors are betting on the Rams. I don't know. I picked the Rams before the season started to win the Super Bowl, which is always nice to stick with your pick. Before the playoffs started, I picked them in the Super Bowl, but didn't. I had them losing to the Bills. This isn't the Bills. This is the Bengals. And I go back to the thing I mentioned about 10 minutes ago. The best player on this football field is Aaron Donald. I'm going to go with the best player on the field, plus idiots at ESPN are never right. Give me the Rams to get Matthew Stafford his first Super Bowl win.
D. Nash.
Is it possible for the Bengals to win it? It is. I mean, they're playing in it. So, of course, there's a chance for them to do it. And I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they did. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lean with the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams in this one.
Well, the way this season's gone so far, this would give them a 70% chance to win. Look, I mean, I'm as surprised as many people that the Bengals got there. Obviously, they've played phenomenal football and deserve to be there. Don't get me wrong. But, on a personal side, I don't really know why, but I'd like to see Matthew Stafford get one. Kind of feel like just payback for being a Lion for so long and being as good of a quarterback as he's been in a really bad situation, then ends up in LA and can get a Super Bowl championship here. I'd actually like to see that happen. But on the flip side, 3 of the 4 main things we talked about, I gave the advantage to the Rams. I just think Defensively, the Bengals have been what's worried and scared me, and I don't think if the Rams are up that they all of a sudden slow down. I mean, you talk about obviously the Chiefs, who all of a sudden just couldn't figure out themselves in that second half, and really after missing that touchdown at the very end of the first half, I don't think the Rams team, with everybody they have healthy and ready to go, has the same situation. And truthfully, from what we saw too, Patrick Mahomes just didn't seem right in that game. I think Stafford will actually be a step up for this situation. So, yeah, I'm going Rams also. We're going to go unanimous with who we think's going to win. So now let's talk about the over-under. The over-under for this game is 48.5 points. 48.5 points. D, you get to go first.
Under.
See, this one worries me again, and this is kind of what I talked about a couple weeks ago when we were going over-unders. I would go under all the time, like all the time, especially like with this game, because you think it's going to be high scoring. It feels like it's going to be high scoring, which means usually it's not high scoring. But I'm torn on this one. And I think it could get interesting late. Like, I think we might see a low-scoring game going into the half, and then fireworks, so to speak, in the second half. 40.5 could be a lot for this game to get to, but I'll say like 28, 24 or something like that. So, yeah, I'll take the over, but I'm not comfortable with it. Lou?
Yeah, I've been playing with numbers in my head. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think they'll get to like 45, 46. Like, something like, 26-20 sticks to my head, a bunch of field goals by McPherson. They keep them out of the end zone maybe more than once. Maybe they go for two. The Rams, like 27-20 is 47. That's under. What, you went over, Coach?
I did.
That's wide open to me. And my thought is if it's under, it's just barely under. I'm going with Coach on this one. He's winning.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going the other way. All right. You went over. So now the all-important one, which we got to have some strategy to figure out, the coin toss. For most of these things in here too, not the coin toss, but I put some odds that were currently out there for the other things. Coin toss, heads versus tails, what goes? People usually say you have to take heads. I say you're damn wrong. Give me tails. Lou.
Tails never fails.
D.
With that said, it's going to be heads, but yeah, that's the biggest logic you can go with the coin toss. Tails never fails. Tails.
Wow, we went.
But that just means heads is going to win.
We went unanimous.
Yeah. You went. I thought you wrote down heads because you said heads.
Well, no, because it's going to win because we all went tails.
Okay.
We're unanimous on the coin toss. That's great. All right, so another fun one is the length of the national anthem. National anthem at, let's see, so if it's minus 147, that would be the favorite, correct? So the favorite here is it would be over 95 seconds. The other is under 95 seconds. Lou, you get to go first.
I always go over on the national anthem. I think, people like to showboat.
D.
Yeah, a minute 35, it's over.
I remember, I think it was last year for the first time in quite a while, it went under. I don't think it does it again, though. We're going to be unanimous there as well. So our fifth pick, we're going to talk about the first play of the game. Is it a rush attempt? Is it a pass attempt? The rush attempt's the favorite. Rush or pass attempt? D.
Pass attempt.
Man. I mean, yes, obviously we think these teams are going to air it out. I think you got to try to find your way, though. I'm actually going to say a rush attempt, and I'll leave it wide open for Lou.
Pass.
All right, so then our sixth pick is who scores the first touchdown of the game. I didn't put down or find the odds for person. I know we usually go. Of course, this does not mean quarterback unless the quarterback runs it in. So who scores it? Is it a big-time guy? Is it somebody else? And watch it be like a defensive score. Give me... I almost want to say it's going to be Rush, but no, just give me Cooper Kupp. He'll break one. Lou? And yes, we can always pick the same if you want.
Give me OBJ.
D.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. So it's surely going to be somebody else other than those three guys. All right, so then our seventh pick, what will the first turnover of the game be? The favorite is an interception. There's also fumble or no turnovers in the game. Lou.
It'll be an interception.
D.
To quote John Madden, 1992, interception.
Man, I'm going to say fumble. I say they try to run the ball a little bit more. Like I said, I think the first half will be a little more low scoring. I think they get a fumble out there, and maybe the Rams' defensive line causes something. And by the way, everything that we're picking here can actually be bet on with Vegas if you really wanted to. So feel free. Though we don't condone any illegal betting. Next up is our eighth pick, and D starts this one. Will either team score in the final 2 minutes of the first half? Yes is the favorite, but will either team score in the final 2 minutes of the first half?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it feels likely that you'd at least get a field goal or something, right? But yeah, I'll go yes also. Lou?
Yeah, I think we're going to go unanimous on this one.
All right. So then, where were we? At me?
Number 9.
Number 9.
I've been waiting on this one ever since they made the announcement of who was going to perform during halftime.
Yeah, this
and
one
I already knew my answer then.
This one I liked. Which performing artist will be shown first live during halftime? Again, live during halftime. You could say multiple artists if they're all shown at once, which is the favorite right now. You have Snoop Dogg, a little bit closer, or a little bit of a favorite over the others. Then, of course, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J., and Kendrick Lamar. I don't know where D's going to go, but what I'm going to say is I think the master of it all is the first one shown before everybody else shows up. It's all about Dre. Give me Dr. Dre. Lou?
I'm going ladies first. Give me Mary J.
D.
And this will be a tie-in to my number 10 answer. I am agreeing with Lou. I'm going with the queen of R&B hip-hop, Mary J. Blige.
Oh, then we're going to have the same answer.
Yep.
You know, I should have.
I was thinking about this once they announced who's going to perform.
I should have put this one here. What's the odds that we get a Tupac hologram?
But I would also think, I mean, multiple artists means if just two people come out, that counts as multiple artists, right?
Correct. If they are shown together or on the screen at the same time.
It obviously doesn't have to be 3 or 4 or 5. It's just two people. Then that first one counts as the winner, right?
Exactly. But we all went singularly. So number 10, and Lou gets to start this one off. First halftime show song. The songs out there from favorite to least favorite out there. California Love, Family Affair, the next episode, Still Dre, Nothing But a G Thing, Lose Yourself, Drop It Like It's Hot, All the Stars, Humble. Lou.
Well, I think if Mary J's first, it'll be Family Affair, right, D?
Uh-oh. D? We've lost D at his crowning moment. Oh, D Nash.
Oh, yeah, he's frozen.
So why do you think it's Family Affair, Lou?
Well, that would be Mary's. Well, that's Mary J. Blige's song. So since I went with her, I went with her song. Well, I don't know all the songs. I know, well, Still Dre and Nothing But a G Thing would be if Snoop and Dre do them together. I think those are both Snoop and Dre duets. I don't know all the other songs.
No.
California Love is a Snoop song, right?
No, Still Dre was with Eminem.
Oh, Still Dre is him and Eminem. Right. So if it's those together, it would be Still Dre. If it's Dre and Snoop, it would be Nothing But a G Thing. And California Love that's one of them by himself, right?
No, well, that was Tupac with Dre.
Oh, okay.
But that's why it'll be interesting to see if they do something too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously a very good chance it could be multiple people, but
well, no, I just mean
let's not forget this is all produced by Jay-Z.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see though if Tupac gets some love in some way, shape, or form during the show.
Oh, it looks like we might have the Mr. Nash back.
He's still frozen over here on this. As we're
I have his little.
Yeah, usually it picks back up. D Nash, are you with us?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
We hear you. I don't see your video moving, but we can hear you.
All right.
All right, so Lou took Family Affair.
And yes, like I said, once I heard who the lineup was going to be for the show, that was going to be my pick. So I'm going with Family Affair. Let's get it crunk.
And you know,
Dancery.
And I'm gonna go with what I thought from the beginning. I mean, they're in LA. You gotta show some love, right? And I think Dre's gonna be out there to start, and there's gonna be some love at some time shown to Tupac, I believe. So give me California Love as a start off. Should be a heck of a halftime show, though.
Should be very interesting.
Okay, so D, will the game be tied again at some point after it's 0-0?
Yes.
Man, will it be tied again? Kind of feel like that lower scoring I keep saying maybe early, that would be when. Yeah, I'm going to make it rough here because I'm going to say yes as well. Lou?
Yeah, I'm going to go with yes.
All right, so that's another. We have 5 unanimous so far. Wait, and Lou went last. Oh, so it's up to me now. So, all right, so number 12 is, will the largest lead of the game be over 14.5 points or under 14.5 points? You know, the hard part about this one is you look at the Bengals, and they've had a couple they've been trailing by a lot and come back. Will it be 14.5 though? It's a lot of points. But you know, I haven't taken a whole lot of chances either. Give me the over, and I think it ends up closer. Like I said, I think the Bengals go off a bit in the second half like they've been, but they just don't quite get there. So yeah, I'll say they're down by over 14.5. Lou?
going to keep it under.
D.
None.
What was that, D?
Under.
Under. All right. So, Lou, you start the next one off, and here we go. Who will have the most passing yards in the game, Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow?
Stafford.
D. Nash.
Based upon what we've seen so far in the playoffs, I'm going Matt Stafford.
Here's the thing. It's interesting because, yes, I think the Rams are going to win, but I keep harping on this where I think the Rams are going to have a big lead and the Bengals are going to have to come back. And I don't think it's going to be due to that run game. So I think it heats up late, and I think where the Rams won't be forced to have to throw the ball, the Bengals will. So I think even though Stafford, I think, will have the more efficient day, I'll say Burrow has more yardage thrown in the game. So then D, most rushing yards in the game. Obviously Cam Akers, Joe Mixon, somebody else. Who do you think has the most rushing yardage?
Wow, that's one of the things we talked about earlier in terms of how many yards the Rams have given up so far in the playoffs. But I also called on this guy to be the first one to score a touchdown. I'm going to go ahead and name him a leading rusher, and that's Joe Mixon.
All right. I guess the only tough part for me here is, again, I think the Bengals are going to have to pass more than they have to run, especially later. I think the Rams will get to run the ball more. Now, when Akers has been healthy, they've shown that is their guy because he's been the top guy to get carries in the playoffs for them since he's been back. You mentioned Darrell Henderson might be back, which could take away from him a bit. But you know what? I'll say he has a day. I'll stick with my FSU alum. Give me Cam Akers. Lou?
I'll go off the board. I'll go with Sonny Michel.
Sonny Michel. All right. So then our 15th pick starts with me is who will have the most receiving yards in the game. Some of the options that were listed: Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Odell Beckham, Tyler Boyd, is someone else. Well, I have him scoring the first touchdown and getting away. Yet I have the other quarterback throwing for more yardage. I think he'll probably have to spread out, though. It's hard for me to just say Jamar because I feel like they're going to try to do everything they can to just shut him down and make other people make the plays. So I'll take Cooper Kupp since I had him scoring the first touchdown anyways. Lou?
I'm going to go with T. Higgins.
And D?
Wow, those are the two choices I was going to go with. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the one that seems to be more of the no-brainer, and that would be one, Cooper Kupp.
All right. So then, Lou, you get our 16th pick here, which is how many players will attempt to pass during the game? Under 2.5 is the favorite, or is it over 2.5?
Going under.
D?
Under.
Well, I put it on here because I feared I would, but I'm going to go over. I mean, the Rams like to, call Odell Beckham's number sometimes to throw a pass. They like to do some trickeration. I think somebody else has a pass attempt in this game. Again, it doesn't have to be a completion. It's just a pass attempt. So, I'll go over. So, D, you get the Gatorade bath. The favorite being orange, then blue, then green, yellow, lime, then clear, then red or pink, and then purple. What color's the Gatorade bath?
I'm going to go with that green lime combo.
And even though I've got bitten on this one, because I remember we kept thinking, but I think it was like clear last year, I'm going to go orange. I got to go classic. Lou?
Oh, you left me the one I wanted, blue.
Bleu. All right. So well, actually, that made me wonder. So if the Bengals win, would they make sure it's orange? And if the Rams win, will it definitely be blue? That's interesting. Not really. But anyway, so number 18 starts with me. Who is the Super Bowl MVP? Stafford, Burrow, Kupp, Chase, Donald, Beckham, someone else. I mean, yeah, it's normally a quarterback. Kupp could be interesting if he goes real off. Do they give it to him instead? But I'd hate to go favorite here because I said Joe Burrow is going to throw for more, but I did say Matthew Stafford will be more efficient. And I think, as I said before, the Rams win it. So it's kind of hard for me to not say Matthew Stafford. Not only does he get his first ring, he also is the MVP. Lou.
Yeah, he's been my guy all year, Coach. I think I'm going to agree with you on this one. Matt Stafford.
D.
I was going to go Matt Stafford, but I guess I'll go ahead and out on a limb and go someplace else. I'm going to go Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. Nice. All right, so then a few fun ones here. Number 19, Lou, we start with you. What's going to be higher, the total of first downs in the Super Bowl or Trey Young's total combined stats, points, assists, rebounds, steals, and blocks at Boston on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I looked up Trey's numbers, and then I figured out how many. I'm going to go with the first downs.
First downs are the favorites here. D.
Wow.
Actually, they're not.
Lou did like I did, research. And I noticed that he hasn't necessarily had huge games against Boston this year. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Trey Young. Be outside, yo. Trey Young. Let's go.
Well, we're going to leave you on an island again, D, because, again, I think, like I said, I think the second half's going to be lit, so I think there's going to be plenty of first downs to be had there. So I'm going to go first downs as well. Our 20th pick is what will be higher, Bengals touchdowns in Super Bowl 56 or total yellow cards in the Leicester City versus West Ham United on Sunday? D.
I have to ask, why is that the comparison?
Well, it's actually.
Do they have a lot of yellow cards? Is it a big rivalry?
Well, I think there's some, but it's also the fact that game's being played on Super Bowl Sunday here, so Vegas has that as the option.
I mean, it has to be another reason other than the fact that they're playing on the same day as an option.
Well, I mean, all those get heated, and West Ham U is kind of. I mean, West Ham's kind of hated by most.
I'm going to go yellow cards.
Yeah, why not? I have no idea either, but I'll go yellow cards as well. Lou?
I'm going to think total. I mean, I figured there'd at least be 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. I figured 5. 5 yellow cards in one game is a lot.
Well, this is just Bengals total touchdowns.
2 or 3.
It's the Bengals touchdown.
Lou?
Oh, just the Bengals
It's
touchdowns?
Bengals
oh, I did not see that. I thought it was total
total
touchdowns in the game.
Bengals total touchdowns versus yellow cards in that matchup.
Yeah, I'll stick with the touchdowns.
Okay. I threw
you
one.
You can have a whole game with just one yellow card.
You could have a whole game with just one touchdown. So I threw one in for fun because obviously we wouldn't know this in time for our picks, but I thought it'd just be fun to pick. Which is going to be higher, Cooper Kupp receptions in Super Bowl 56 or USA Olympic gold medals this year? Cooper Kupp receptions. I think I said that. But let's see. It's interesting too. Cooper Kupp's a big favorite here. I don't know. The Olympics are such a mess right now. Just for the sake of going against everything going on in China right now, even though go USA, I'll go Cooper Kupp. Lou?
Well, I'm going USA. They've literally gotten 9 in every Olympics in the last 3 Olympics, so I don't think Cooper catches 9 balls.
D.
USA. USA.
Oh.
USA.
Even though Cooper Kupp's your MVP.
Yep.
All right. So, like I said, that one's just for fun, though. That's not going to count to our actual total. So then we have our tiebreaker, which is the total points in the Super Bowl. And Lou, you get to go first.
56.
56. Oh, yeah, you went over. I was going to say, I thought you went under.
30-26. 30-26 is your final.
D.
You can write that down if you want.
56. You said
44.
30-26.
D said 44.
Yeah, 44. 24-20.
And you're saying 24-20. And Lou, you said 30-26, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go with what I said actually earlier. I'm going to go 52 right in between you guys because I'm going 28-24 Rams. And like I said, I think the Rams will be at big. The Bengals will start one of their comebacks, but just not quite get there. So there you go. It should be a fun Super Bowl either way. That is for sure. Can't wait. It's always fun. And there you have it. That also means soon enough, next week, hot seat season is upon us, fellas. I'll tell you right now, odds are we're going to start off finishing up the college baseball teams first because that's in the Elite Eight. And when we finish that, I think we're going to go through the best worst quarterbacks. We've got through, I think, about half the league, but I'll catch you up where we were of the best quarterback to play at least 10 games and the worst quarterback to play at least 10 games for each team as we go. But should be good. And then obviously the next time I give you one a few weeks later will be the food hot seat. So there you go. So anyways, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl. We are SLZE Sports, SLZEsports.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, SLZE Sports, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. And with going out, let me just say, D, I know Ronda Rousey came back, but there's someone in that women's division that I want to come back even more, and it's awaited, and it's going to happen soon. Should be a heck of a comeback. We miss you, Bailey. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the Super Bowl.